So, how do you know you have healed an emotional wound? How do you know? Number one, your law of attraction will change immediately. Number two, your whole consciousness will shift. You will perceive the world differently. You will get insights and a new awareness. Number three, you will no longer be triggered by whatever used to trigger you. And number four, you will not have the desire to engage in addictions, whether it's a physical addiction or an emotional addiction or in self-sabotaging patterns. These are the four clear ways in which you can know for sure that you have healed at the causal level. Hello lovely people, I hope you all are well. So this is a question I get asked all the time. How do I know I have healed? In the last week I must have had at least 4 people messaging me asking me the same question, and I just want to firstly state that we have many wounds. So when I talk about how to know you've healed, I'm talking about one wound because you have to understand that this is a journey. And it's going to take you years, maybe even your whole lifetime, to really fully heal all of your wounds, all of your ancestral wounds, childhood wounds. So going back to the question, how do I know I've healed? I'm talking about one wound in particular at the causal or soul level. And here are 4 ways to know you have healed. So number one, your law of attraction will change immediately. It's not going to take months or years. Your law of attraction changes immediately, mainly because this emotion is no longer inside of you. So you're no longer vibrating that emotion, whether it's shame or whatever it is that you're carrying inside of you, unworthiness. It's no longer inside of you with regards to this one wound. So you're no longer putting that out. So therefore, you're vibrating at a different level and you will attract something different. So if your law of attraction is not changing, then you've not healed at the causal or core level with that particular wound. So that's number one. Number two, you will no longer be triggered by people or the situation or the circumstance if it's associated with that one wound. It just won't trigger you anymore because the wound is not there and you have nothing to defend. You may even have compassion for people who trigger you or for the situation. It just won't bother you or frustrate you anymore because the wound's not there. So that's number 2. Number 3, you will no longer have the desire to engage in self-sabotaging behaviors or in emotional addictions that is associated with that wound. Very often when we have an emotional wound, we are in denial of the truth. And when we are in denial of a deep core truth, instead of facing that truth, we avoid it. And then we engage in self-sabotaging patterns and addictions. We do everything to avoid facing that wound. So the desire to engage in specific emotional addictions and self-sabotaging patterns will no longer be there. Because the wound's not there. You've accepted the truth emotionally in your heart. So you have nothing to avoid, basically. And number 4, when you heal at the core, at the causal level, you will actually feel a shift in your consciousness straight after you've released this emotion. And releasing, the release process, it can take a few days, it can even take a week. It depends on the wound, it depends obviously on how you are processing, because if you're really resistant, then it's going to take a lot longer. But I've been through processes where it took 3 days of deep core grief work that was visceral, that was my whole body was engaged and feeling these emotions oozing out of my cells, my trillions of cells. So and as soon as that happens, when you heal at the core or at the causal level, you will experience experience a shift in your consciousness. And what happened with me is you will start to get insights after you've released this wound. So how you used to think will shift to a more empowering way. So all the negative beliefs and the negative thoughts associated with that one wound that you used to get will disappear, will no longer be there, and you won't have to force yourself to think positively. It will just naturally happen because you've released the wound, you've released everything associated with it. So what I experienced was a shift in my consciousness, and you started to think more positively for one, and the thoughts, as I mentioned, the negative thoughts associated with that one wound will no longer be there, and you will start to perceive the same situation differently, and you will get insights and awareness about the core wound. So you will experience this shift of consciousness, and it's really, how can I put this? Even though it's a shift in your consciousness, you really feel this. It is tangible, even though I'm talking about a shift in consciousness, and it's not something that is forced. You don't fake this. You can't fake trying to think, positively. It just comes as a natural side effect of healing at the core or at the causal level. So for those of you who have been asking, I hope this helps. If you have any questions, feel free to comment below. And yeah, for those of you who are really struggling with healing deep emotional wounds, I do have a course, an online course on my website. It's called Healing Emotional Wounds, that takes you through the exact process that I use, which is through this inner alchemy, through processing emotions, which I go on and on about. Otherwise, if you'd like one-on-one support, feel free to book a soul reading with me or reach out. And if you want to go deeper, then that's where I do the heart and soul coaching. Anyway, I hope this helps, and yeah, that's it for today. Bye for now.